Welcome to This Just In, the show bringing you the latest advancements in healthcare, strategy, innovation, and public policy. And now, for the fastest voice in healthcare, here's your host, Justin Barnes.
Welcome back to This Just In Radio Show, broadcasting live from HIMSS26 in sunny Las Vegas. Very excited to introduce my next guest and new friend of the show, Dr. Erika Kim, Advanced Research Project Agency for Health. You're Program Manager there. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
So before we dive in, you're a newer voice to the show. Where'd you grow up and where do you work out of today?
Oh, I work out of Washington, D.C. area. Okay. So I live in suburb of Maryland. I have been living there for about 20 years. All my professional life, I spent good amount of time at the NIH working on cancer research. And now I work in the data science space where I empower all the data that sits in the silos to come to life so it can have meaning and be reused by the public.
I love that. I've been working on data interoperability for now over 20 years. One of the co-founders of Commonwealth Health Alliance, Care Equality, Sequoia Project, all of those. So I've been helping to unleash that data, creating fire standards and all that good stuff.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah,
yes.
no, Anish Chopra was one of the godfathers of that as well. You know Anish? Do you know Anish?
I know.
So Anish and I have been friends he's on my show yesterday, but we've been friends for 17, 18, 20 years now.
Wow.
Working on fire and standards and all that.
You definitely leverage a lot of fire, bulk
Yes.
fire now. So thank you for
Absolutely.
working on this, spearheading it.
Absolutely. And I always call it ARPA, so I had to spell it Advanced Research Project Agency for Health.
Yes.
But ARPA, we call it ARPA. So recently you've launched the Pediatric Care Expansion Initiative with $50 million of funding. What problems are you trying to solve in pediatric care?
So ARPA-H is a new agency that's been stood up about 4 years ago to tackle really ambitious and high-risk, high-reward type of programs that others wouldn't tackle. So PCX, Pediatric Care Expansion, in short, it's PCX, is an exemplar program that actually is going after something that people don't usually invest heavily in, which is in pediatric space.
Right.
And with this program, what we are trying to address is that data silo problem that exists in majority of the healthcare ecosystem, but specifically for pediatric community. So we are going after, being able to bring all this scattered silo data and make them connected so that we can actually draw better insights to help our pediatric population.
Love that. So some of your time investments will be around working directly with, are you creating an exchange or are you working directly with health systems and hospitals like CHOA out of Atlanta and Rady's Children's and stuff like that?
Yes. So our ambitious goal is to work with 200 children's hospitals across the nation to connect them. So including all the children's hospitals that are in major cities, but also other, more regional rural hospitals that are low resource. So they can also benefit from this connected healthcare ecosystem. So that's our ambitious goal, and we currently have demonstrated being able to exchange of multiple types of data, so not just the EHR, but also imaging data, genetics data, and so forth between 2 hospital systems right now. So that's our very small pilot, and we're extending that to 5 hospital systems in the next few months, and then scaling that to 200 in the next 2 years.
Excellent. So specifically, are you leveraging FHIR as one of the standards, or what standards are you leveraging, and what do you hope to enable more of?
So we are currently leveraging FHIR, obviously, and also bulk FHIR for population level sort of a cohort identification features. And we are also leveraging a hospital that is serving as a TEFCA node for a children's brain tumor network. So that's one of the network that we are bringing in as part of the PCX program. So we're leveraging those TEFCA, framework, FHIR, other existing standards, but also we are hoping to establish and inform establishment of new standards. For example, for imaging data to be exchanged across hospital systems, there's currently no standards that exist. So with this effort, we are hoping to kind of advance those additional standards that can enable data interoperability even more.
I love it. Congratulations. It's fantastic work. And obviously our children are our future. So the fact that you're working on this is very, very important.
Very true.
Where do you see the biggest opportunity for breakthroughs and innovation in pediatric care? I mean, technology, care models, data.
So, all 3, but I think data is sort of the foundational, fundamental, underlying piece of this work that has to work. We have to be able to connect this disparate data that sits across these healthcare systems. And when you are able to provide the connectivity then you can bring technologies with AI, LLM, all of other those advanced technologies on top of the data to be able to draw insights, provide clinical summaries, and do all the other enhanced features. But if you don't have data that is not accessible, missing data, right? Data that are sitting in silos, you really can't have that foundation, have technologies apply to anything if you don't have data that's underlying and powering it. So data is really important, and having those advanced technologies applied to that data so we can actually draw insight, help patients to get better, faster clinical trial matching, so we can impact care delivery. Ultimately, if we don't change how the care is done, doesn't mean anything still, right? So that's the ultimate impact that we're looking for, changing how families navigate through these systems to, bring care to their children, especially children who are going through complex disease journeys, and help them to have less burden in the process.
Are you able to mention the organizations that the two hospitals, health systems now, and then expanding to, can you talk about them a little bit?
So right now, I mentioned the Children's Brain Tumor Network. So our first use case to demonstrate the real-world impact for the pediatric care expansion program is starting with the pediatric brain tumor. So we're leveraging the brain tumor network that we currently have, and Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and University of California, San Francisco is currently exchanging data daily. And we are bringing in the Seattle's Children's Hospital of Atlanta, LA. So they are on our docket to be the next sets of hospitals to be connected through this network. And we are also demonstrating EHR vendor agnostic connections. So we're not limited by which EHR your system is, your health institution is using. So we're building this universal connector to be able to, exchange data more at real time. So that's kind of the examples of the hospitals that we currently are working on, but we are looking to expand to the 200 hospitals that are part of the Children's Oncology Group, who are our intimate collaborators on this effort.
So love that. So Children's Healthcare of Atlanta is one of your organizations. Well, Don Hyland, the president and CEO, a long time, is a really good friend of mine. We sat on a board 20 years to go together. If I can help you in any way, but it sounds like you're well connected and doing well. But if I can help you, I absolutely would.
Thank you.
Don is amazing. Many children still struggle to access, and this is really ironic in timing, and I was having this conversation with somebody, I think the day your show came together for me, with somebody else who is actually a social worker in Sarasota, Florida, and focuses on children. And we just had this debate about, I was supporting what she was saying about how children have such a hard access to finding care. And many doctors today, less doctors, I don't know if the stat is true, but less doctors accept children in pediatric care than ever before, or at least for a long time in some communities. These children have to go 100 miles to get care, or wait 7 months, 10 months for care.
Right.
I guess, how would this initiative benefit those people or allow for care in a more expeditious way, or not have to travel, wait as long? How does this initiative help that process? So
as I just mentioned, we are building this connected network nationwide so that clinicians, the doctors, and even specialists who are sitting in any part of this country can access to this connected network. And what we are trying to change is a paradigm of us always having to go to a healthcare system to get care. We want specialist experts to come to the patients.
That's right.
And you can do that when you actually pave the road to have that exchange of data available, so that the families don't have to travel 100 miles to see a specialist. The specialist may already have access to a lot of their data, and they can just do a virtual call. And we also want to eliminate repeated testing, when you allow data to be made available across the network. You know what the children had already been tested for, what type of lab results that they have, and what type of history that they had, So having that access, comprehensive view of your patient, no matter where you are in the country, will really help these patients to reduce the burden of needing to travel to see a specialist when you may not need to. Sometimes you might need to if you have to have a surgery, for example, but that's different. But we are trying to reduce the burden of our families having to carry all the binders of data across different health systems or needing to travel that far. So those are things that we are hoping to make a huge impact on how care delivery is done with the PCX.
Love that. And thank you for that work. Because again, I just literally had this conversation, and it was about a real child who was trying to seek care, could not find a provider in the Sarasota area, and been rejected by so many providers. And so, yeah, this absolutely would help.
It's very hard.
So, love that. I also, you bring up, we talked about Anish Chopra real quickly, and we actually had that exact dialogue yesterday, too, on his show about how taking out waste, fraud, and abuse, but this is absolutely waste. When you're doing duplicative testing, that cost is significant, certainly in the radiology space and imaging. It's expensive. That's expensive tests. So if we can stop those repetitive tests or unnecessary tests, now we're starting to bend the cost curve, which so absolutely will pay a $50 million project can easily be paid, and the ROI come back to the government, certainly because of, the reduction.
And also it helps the payers too, right? 'Cause you're
absolutely.
Not, right? There's a lot of gains to be had all around.
Yeah, excellent. So if this program succeeds, what could pediatric care look like in 5 years from now that's different from today? I know you've covered this a little bit.
I think we covered about, so in 5 years from now, with having this 200 hospitals or more connected through the PCX sort of network that we enable. It's a foundational network. What we are hoping is that the patients get faster care, that get to diagnosis faster, and reduce the burden of clinicians as well, right? So that they don't, the clinical team don't have to go around and looking for all the data that sits across many different systems. They can have access to that data instantly, and it's longitudinal, so you can understand the history of where this patient have been. And also what we are enabling is patient like me type of features where a clinician can see a patient like mine that I'm currently seeing. What were other patients like this patient, that what kind of journey did they go through? What kind of outcomes did they have? So they can make more informed and more confident decisions based on evidence.
Right.
So those are the things that we want to enable in the next 5 years. And ultimately, no more binders, no more CD-ROMs, and really help our pediatric care journey to be more streamlined and faster and more efficient.
Yeah, no, I love it. Great work. I mean, again, I have a real life example that is top of mind for me, and so I can see where this make tangible difference. And again, it's about the children, but it's also the families, because these families, these parents struggle, these caseworkers struggle, and the pain is real for them. And again, children are our future. So the fact that you're focusing on this and the government's focusing on this in the right way, and CMS being the largest payer, the government's the biggest, pays the most here, but also has the most to gain here through this type of initiative. So I'm glad you guys are working on it. We have about 30 more seconds. How many HIMSS have you been to? Is this one of you? Are you new to this conference, or you've been coming for a while?
I am brand new to this conference, so I am very lost at this point right now, trying to navigate how HIMSS works. But I'm very excited. I have several networking opportunities right now lined up, so I'm very looking forward to meeting other, healthcare, folks who are working on interoperability space and just meeting and networking. So I'm looking forward to that.
Excellent.
So also for the PCX effort, we brought in a lot of our patient advocacy groups to inform us, to help us to, pave the road in the right way. So I'm also hoping to meet some of them here.
Excellent. Well, I've been in this. This is my 26th HIMSS. I've been doing this for 31 years. I know almost everybody here. So if I can help you personally with my Rolodex and network, just let me know. I'll connect you with anybody you want to talk to.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Thank you so much. Welcome back to This Just In Radio Show, broadcasting live from HIMSS26 in sunny Las Vegas. Great to be here with my next guest, and certainly thank you for everybody for tuning in. My next guest is Leah Gabbert, Marketing Director, Global Industry Solutions for Nutanix. Welcome to the show, Leah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Justin. It's great to be here.
So you're a new voice on the show. First of all, a little bit, where'd you grow up? Where are you from? All that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a Kansas City native. So was raised and went to school in Missouri, and so still live in Kansas City area. So a Midwest girl through and through.
Love it. And you have some cool roots, very similar to my roots, started around the same time frame in the industry. Where did you start off with? Because I love your organization where you started.
Yeah, absolutely. So after college, I started at Cerner. And so I built most of my healthcare IT career at Cerner before the Oracle Health acquisition, of course. And then I left Cerner, and actually I've been at Nutanix now for almost 7 years, which is really exciting. We've got such a wonderful commitment to healthcare. So it's been a really great kind of change. And it's interesting watching all of the changes that are happening in this industry and in the ecosystem.
Absolutely. And I know Nutanix has grown tremendously over the recent years. Tell us a little bit about Nutanix. It's a newer company to my organization and to our ecosystem, but please let's share more.
Yeah, absolutely. So Nutanix had its start with hyperconverged infrastructure, and that's really kind of where we got our footing. But now we're known as a leader in hybrid multi-cloud solutions. So we provide a cloud-like experience for infrastructure, and it's great. We're really growing fast. We've got an AI platform now, which of course is garnering a lot of interest. But yeah, our customers love like the simplicity and the ease that we bring to them, and just managing their infrastructure environment. So yeah, we love Nutanix.
Excellent. Fantastic. Well, we love Nutanix because AMD loves Nutanix, because when we said, hey, we have an open slot on the radio show, our good friend Tony Noon said, you got to put Nutanix.
That's wonderful.
So we're grateful to have you here.
Worked out good for me.
And the other really cool thing about you and your background, and I was shocked by this, how many HIMSS annual conferences have you been to?
Oh my gosh. I think this is right around year 20 for me. There was some years that I missed with COVID and some, role changes and things like that, but 20 years.
Very impressive. As I've told you off air, this is my 26th HIMSS, but the fact that you've been 20 years is a lot. Most people come across, there's their 8th year or maybe 10th year, up to 15 years.
Yeah.
But 20, fantastic work.
20 years. Lots of time in Vegas and Orlando and Chicago.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my first question, what is one bold move that healthcare leaders need to make to best position their organization today?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually would really encourage a bold leader to think about removing friction from decision-making power by, instead of centralizing data, actually moving that data to the edge, literally where the patients are. I think this is probably a little bit just different than kind of what a lot of strategies are. But here's why I say that.
Please.
I actually think that if we focused more on giving our frontline the power to make decision making and have that real-time intelligence and things like that, that would actually allow them to view IT as more of a utility instead of a bottleneck. And so, yeah, I think we should get away from like really slow, large data lakes and make sure that we're giving that frontline data where they need it at the edge.
Yeah. So in that direction, I want to maybe a follow-up regarding Nutanix. How do you guys play in that pond? And if so, what are some of the best practices that you share in that area?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of the data right now is being developed and being constructed at the edge. We're seeing that just more and more, especially in healthcare, right? Where we've got health systems that are acquiring smaller health organizations and ambulatory centers and surgical centers. So more and more data is being made at the edge. And so that is just a natural fit for Nutanix. Absolutely. We love to run clinical workloads, and we'll make sure that we take care of that data wherever it's developed.
Well, love it. So where are you seeing the most measurable impact today when it comes to innovation, technology, or even AI? And there's a lot of pilots out there, but at scale, do you have any good examples there?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody loves to talk about AI.
Absolutely.
And I think that right now what we're seeing is just the shift from using AI to the more agentic AI initiatives. And so I think that the beauty that we're seeing is really when you have autonomous agentic AI that helps clinicians not only suggest a note in the EHR, but actually like in the room with the patient, they are checking insurance coverage and making the next appointment with a specialist and things like that, just things that are happening ambiently and autonomously without the clinician involved. That's probably where we'll see the most beauty. Right now, a lot of the AI that we're seeing is chatbots and things like that. But I think when we really have AI become a partner to our clinicians, that's when we're going to see a lot of the beauty of AI happen.
Yeah, and that's actually a very good point and a resounding theme that I've been able to pull out a lot of my guests, and certainly the CIOs, the CCOs that are deploying this, and the clinical leaders as well. They're performing better patient care, more comprehensive patient care, offering a better patient experience to their customer/consumer.
Right.
So it's very exciting. And again, these are outside of pilots. This is full scale of an organization.
Yep, absolutely. But when you do those full scales, I mean, that's thousands of patient interactions just all across the globe. And so what kind of infrastructure and what kind of, core density is required to be able to run that? So people think that AI is just a software issue, but it's actually an infrastructure issue as well, being able to manage those workloads as well.
Well, yeah, and further on that point, when you think about AI, you also got to work on your workflow before you layer on AI, because you'll just mess up your workflow faster. You'll fail faster with AI if you don't manage that very well. So,
you're right. You're exactly right. Yeah.
It's one of the things I love to bring up. Staying with the AI theme, how do we keep healthcare human in an AI world?
I love this question. I love this question so much because at the end of the day, healthcare is so human. And people want it to be human. I think clinicians want to be human. Patients want to interact with humans.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I think that clinicians are really bogged down, quite frankly. I think that I read recently, almost 40% of clinician time is spent on administrative tasks. And if we can help remove a little bit of that using AI and allow clinicians to get back to what they want to do, which is healing, I think that makes it really a lot more human. And I'd say that right now we're in a space where the screen between the clinician and the patient, that's the most unhuman part, right? And we see that right now. Everybody's typing notes and, making orders and things like that. And that's necessary and it's absolutely required, but it does take out some of that human. So if we can have an AI layer that is more ambient listening and does things to assist the doctor, instead of having it be a tool that the doctor has to manage, it becomes a partner to the doctor or the doctor with the clinician. I think that's where we'll see the real human, right? Less screens and more just human to human interaction. Let the clinicians be healers. That's what they want to do.
Fantastic answer. I love it. I mean, it is kind of cool to see clinicians be able to provide better care, more comprehensive care, access to more information because of what AI can do and generative AI can assist with. And giving patients information that they need when they need it. And that's something that we've seen that certainly at scale.
Yeah.
Because you're right. We've had a lot of screens in between the interactions. I remember my doctor has to spin around and on the keyboard, and then, obviously I'm looking at the back of his head, and, it's kind of cool to get back to they want to provide care.
Absolutely. They do, right? Yeah, we want eye contact. You want eye contact with someone.
You got it. You got it. So last question. What must we get right in the next 3 years in healthcare? It's a tough question because we have a lot of moving parts, but what must we get right?
There are so many things that we must get right. I think that the most important thing that we have to get right, and I don't know all of the answers, but I think data sovereignty is probably what we have to get right in the next 3 years, especially with the rise of AI. We're at this time where we use AI, but we're moving towards a time where we're going to be running on AI, right? And when you make that move, it garners a lot of questions about sovereignty and who owns data, right? Like, do you own your patient data? Does the hospital own your data? Does the cloud server own your data? Does the AI technology vendor own your data? I think that's a really overwhelming question to think about. And a lot of companies are working on that right now. I think that people are trying to find answers to that. But just as humans, I think we're trying to figure out what that data sovereignty looks like and how it should be so that it's the right way to protect data and to protect all of us, and then have a consistent way to manage that data sovereignty kind of across the ecosystem. So I think that's what we really have to get right. That might be a little boring because it's under the covers a little bit, but I think it's really important. It's a vein that if we don't think about it, it could get really messy. Yeah, no, I'm really impressed with that answer because I've been pulling out a similar component in my conversations the last couple of days around data governance. Very important because certainly with AI involved, even at a holistic level, I want organizations to look at their AI, their data sovereignty for sure, and the AI governance, because you might have 3 or 5, today you might have 3 different AI models running inside your organization. Right. Next year you might have 5. Next year after that you might have 7 to 10. Probably more. Exactly. And then how do you know which AI governance model is going to work? And you really need to look holistically at all those models to make sure they all work together, not in silos. Exactly. And it's moving so fast that other technologies, we've been able to really establish best practices. That's right. And AI is moving so fast that organizations are having to determine their own best practices, right? Like there's not a playbook to look at per se. And hopefully those will start to emerge and we'll start to see some of that. But it's moving so fast that, to your point, like we've got to have some really strong governance and be able to secure, especially with HIPAA and other compliance and regulatory kind of considerations, you have to be able to have a plan around that sovereignty. Yeah, so that's one of the best answers. I mean, you brought it up holistically on your own, and I love it because I've been trying to pull that out of people because nobody's talking about it. It's not sexy, it's not fun. So I won? Yes, you did. Did I win? You did. We also won in the 20 years coming to HIMSS annual conference. Okay, that's fantastic. Both those things. We have about a minute or so left. What are your goals for being here at HIMSS annual conference? Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that my overall goal, of course, is to make sure that Nutanix is just well positioned to be able to talk to our customers and all of our future customers, quite frankly, because some place that we really shine is the fact that we can really help healthcare organizations run their clinical workloads, their EHR, regardless of what EHR, regardless of what PACS vendor they use. Those clinical workloads are just critical, and we run them with ease. We've got a lot of customers running EHRs and PACS, and so a lot of people think of us for some of the EUC workloads and things like that. But I want to make sure that people understand that we're ready to handle the clinical workloads too.
Very exciting. Very cool. When do you leave town?
I leave tomorrow night late, like a red eye. I think late tomorrow night. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Well, I know it's been a fantastic show for you already.
Been.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Truly, Leah Gabbert, truly pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for the opportunity. This is great. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.